It has been said that in Twilight Struggle, you need to know the cards well in order to play well. Well, we're going to take you through every card one by one, and we're going to help you become a master at Twilight Struggle. This is Legendary Tactics. This card is an important one in the early war for the American player and can potentially have a big impact. How does the Soviet player deal with it? Let's take a look. This card is a starred one-op American early war event that, if triggered, removes all USSR influence markers in one uncontrolled country in Europe. The word uncontrolled is key here, as the US player cannot remove influence from a country that is even under American control. It's also important to note that if there are no options for the effect of the Truman Doctrine event, the event still triggers to no effect and the card is removed from the game. For the Soviets, this card is a threat that you need to keep in mind. I would never recommend getting into an ops war where you're both competing for control of a certain country by each adding influence if you don't have its whereabouts accounted for. If you're careful and don't leave many options for the American player to use this event by over-controlling the key countries in Europe, the threat of this event is minimal. And if you see it in your hand, it's very easy to mitigate. Just make sure that you control the key countries and don't leave too many spare influence in uncontrolled ones for the US to remove. The US play of independent reds makes this event a little more impactful, so play Truman Doctrine as early as you can and get it out of the deck. That way you don't have to worry about it anymore when expanding your interests in Europe. If you really can't play it because of board circumstances, 5-year plan can be of help. Save 5-year plan and Truman Doctrine for the last 2 cards and let the 5-year plan event happen. This will trigger the Truman Doctrine event, but will give you 3 ops to deal with whatever the consequences are. For the Americans, this event is something you can build to. Try to lure the Soviets into competing for control of France, for example. See if you can find a way to make it useful for you, because if you save it for later and it ends up in the Soviet hand, it's easily mitigated and you lose out. A very common approach is to use ops or an event to break control of a European battleground in your action round 7, and then follow up with a Truman Doctrine headline. If you can pull it off, this can be devastating. I remember getting into an extensive ops war in East Germany, and I pulled this exact maneuver, I think removing 6 or 7 Soviet influence in the process. Some players have noted online that you can use it to remove influence that would otherwise be available for de-Stalinization. I think it's something to keep an eye out for, but in general it's not an extremely helpful effect without exquisite timing. If it's useless to you, then you may as well take the 1 operations point and hope it will circulate back to you later, hopefully when there's a juicy opportunity available. If it survives to the late war, it can be very helpful in combination with all those great US late war events that reduce Soviet influence in Europe, like Tear Down This Wall or Chernobyl. But even a mid-war event like John Paul II becomes Pope can make this card event devastating. So in the end, for the Soviets, this card is something that is easily mitigatable if it turns up in your hand, and otherwise just something to be aware of. Don't get into unnecessary ops wars if you don't know the whereabouts of this card, and you should be fine. For the US player, this is a powerful event that you can hopefully build towards over the course of the turn, and maybe even grab control of a key European battleground in the process. It's an event that gains power as the game goes on, and if you use it, is hardly much of a sacrifice given that it is only a 1 operations point card. And this is our analysis of the Truman Doctrine card in the game Twilight Struggle. This is NATO with Legendary Tactics. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you got some value out of this video. And if you did, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.